Good evening and welcome to the school committee meeting for Tuesday, February 9th, 2016. I just need to let everyone know that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast on local cable television. Can we stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes. I also want everyone to know that Jamie Heyman is here with us. He's the green light over here shining, or orange now.
He looks good tonight.
That's right. He's remotely participating, so if in case you hear a little voice, don't be afraid. It's just Jamie. So first item on the agenda are the minutes for approval from our meeting on January 26th. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve the January 26, 2016 meeting minutes.
Second.
Do I have to do a roll call for this?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. The minutes pass. The next item on the agenda is the Makerspace update.
So tonight we have Jen Judkins, our specialist, and Alex Karam, who is our media center specialist from Summer Street Elementary School, and they're going to share with you some of the great work that's been going on in our makerspaces in our schools. So welcome, Jen and Alex.
Thank you. Glad to be here tonight. Thank you. Oh, I can hear myself now too. So tonight we're going to talk about some piloting of makerspaces that we've been doing since the beginning of the year. So first I thought it might be helpful to just have a little explanation of what a makerspace is. It's a fairly new progressive idea in education, so it might be new to some people. So makerspaces are essentially centers for creative play. They're physical spaces where the activities are driven by students. It's very student-centered, and the activities typically have a STEAM focus, so science, technology, engineering, math, and arts types of focuses, and very often they're set up in different centers, different sub-areas within the makerspace that are focused on a certain thing, and we're going to show you some examples of those just to give you a flavor of how those maker spaces are looking in at the high school and at the elementary school, because of course at different age levels the types of activities we make available to kids are going to differ based on where they are and where their interests might be. So again, physical spaces for creative play that are student centered and STEAM focused. And so there may be a question as to why we decided to explore piloting maker spaces here in Linfield. And I think that it clearly ties into our vision, which is to support students in to become creative, intellectually curious learners. So when I approached Jane about it last year, at the end of last year, she kind of lit up with the acknowledgement that it just seemed to be a really great fit for Linfield. And this is why I love working here, because everything is possible here in Linfield. If we have ideas, we're really welcome to present them, and this was a great example of that. It seems to fill a need for us in the district because it gives a place for purposeful exploration. It's really great because students are really empowered to take their own learning in a specific direction that is kind of speaks to where they're curious and where they would like to explore. And because of the nature of makerspaces, they're really very much about the process of getting to the thing that you're making as opposed to the end product. So kids go through this whole design thinking piece where they have an idea, they try some things out, there may be some failures, they're working through those and evaluating what to do differently. And so it really creates stronger, better thinkers in our students. And it's really, to appreciate the value of a makerspace, you need to watch students go through that process, and it's quite evident to see them, kind of go through that, exploratory phase, but then this like, gee, I've never done this before, what do I do next? And as teachers, we just facilitate that. We don't go in and say, well, here, let me show you how to make that or do that. It's really focused around students working through the process. And so kids are learning through trial and error in a makerspace environment. So to get started, we opted to try out 2 pilot locations because this is a completely new idea to Linfield and quite new really in Massachusetts. These are these are just now starting to pop up in some of the more progressive schools. We're being contacted by many districts in the area to come and preview our makerspaces because we're doing something that other schools are interested in doing. So it's been a pleasure to have other schools visit us and to share our experiences with them. So we decided that it might be wise to have one at at each level. So we opted for one at the high school and one at Summer Street Elementary School. Partly because at Huckleberry we had a new media specialist, not a new media specialist, but Sue being new to that role, we thought it only fair to give her some time to focus on that adjustment. And fortunately, both Alex and Janice, who are our media specialists at those respective locations, were really embraced the idea. And in many schools, makerspaces are that physical space is happening in the media center, which I think is wonderful because the media center is the heart of our buildings. It's where kids go to explore and learn new things, and they're places that are open all day long. They're not booked for a class and not available. So it just made sense to look at the media centers as a location for the makerspaces. And because the media specialists were open to that, we opted to start in those 2 locations. In terms of funding and what the makerspace looks like, it really can take many forms, and you can have a makerspace on a very low budget. You can do some crazy things. And so we sought out some different funding sources and continue to do that. Some district funds were made available to us at the end of last year. And then we also supplemented that with some application and successful grants that we had received from LET, and I have a couple other grants out right now that we're hoping to hear from. And we also had some PTO donations because, as you can imagine, parents were really interested in this kind of idea. It's the type of experience they want to make available to students. So had a lot of positive responses from PTO. And then community schools, Alex has been running some workshops for them after school, but then they're so wonderful in providing supplies to do that, which then we can turn around and use with our students. So those are some of the ways that we've gotten materials in. And so much of what we have kids using is recycled products too. So particularly in the elementary level with crafts, a lot of the things are just things we can find from our homes and bring in. And another reason to have the maker spaces in the media center was to provide access all day. So these spaces are open through the same hours that the school day is. Kids can drop in. We can answer some questions about that in terms of how the kids access the maker space, but it's open, here at the high school during studies. Kids drop in, classes can come in. And of course, the materials can be brought to classrooms. So all these things can go into totes and leave. And Jane and I were talking about it the other day, and the way I look at it is many of the things we're using in our makerspace would have just gone into a storage closet in between when we were using it, say, in a science curriculum, and just stayed there until we were ready to use it again. So it's really taking these things out of the closet and putting them into the hands of kids throughout the year instead of that special time of the year when you might use it in the curriculum. So first I wanted to share some, as I said, some of the stations that we have at the high school, just to give you an example. And these are not all of the stations. This is just a couple of them, just to give you a flavor for how the makerspace, the structure. So we have a printing station that has a 3D printer and also a paper cutter. Some folks might be familiar with the paper cutter, just people that do lots with like scrapbooking and stuff. So it's a Silhouette paper cutter, but both of these pieces of equipment allow kids to experience computer-aided design. So they're designing things on a computer, they're having to think three-dimensionally or two-dimensionally, that taking ideas on the screen, thinking about how they would come out in the physical world, and then having that happen so that they're seeing that product and then they make adjustments to their design. So so kids have to troubleshoot through as they print their things out and they didn't come out the way they thought, and they're learning how this computer-aided design works and how they can manipulate the images on the screen to see different aspects of what they're drawing. We have a robotics station, and that there are a number of different types of robotics available to kids. These are things that we purchased to use in the science curriculum anyway, so again, this is a great example of getting more bang for our buck. So we're getting a lot more student access to materials that we have on hand for other purposes. So we have some Spiro robots, which are pictured in the bottom of the screen. They're a little ball, and it actually lights up different colors and rolls around, and as you can imagine, it's quite high interest when you drive that thing out into the library proper during study. Everyone's like, what is that? But it's more than just a remote control robot. You can take that and program with drag and drop block programming, so kids are coding this robot to do different things. So that's really pretty cool, because it's something that we've found Spiro to be a successful tool both at the high school level, but also down at the elementary level. The kids can't get enough.
Yes,
Alex had to
pretty
get some more.
Yeah.
They want them. So also Lego We Do robots, which are, Lego product, but so in addition to the Lego building blocks that kids are familiar with and comfortable with, there are some motorized components that go together, and kids can program those. Some of them have, motors and infrared sensors and motion detectors and things like that. We have a video production station. You might have seen before when you come in here, there's a green screen, so kids can film as if they're on location like they do in the news. And we have, this is one of the ways that we've put to use the iPads that we purchased as a district. These are still wonderful tools to use, especially for things like video production. So iPads have, there's a cart of iPads in the makerspace here that have stop motion animation tool on them, so kids can create stop motion videos. And they can also do some green screening, again, where they look like they're reporting on location, which is pretty funny. So students are learning storytelling. They're having to plan out their story, and then, of course, the great speaking skills that they're developing as they record and re-record till it's perfect. And so Alex is going to share with you some of the stations that are part of the Summer Street Makerspace.
Hi. I'd say we have quite a few stations. We've highlighted a few. The biggest and most successful has definitely been construction. I think from K to 4, they are dying to build with anything. Right now, I started the year not really knowing what to bring out, and so I bought cups. And to this day, we're still cup stacking. In the picture, you can see that's the current record, which is a huge thing of pride, 88 inches at Summer Street School. But then there's Legos. We do a lot of Lego challenges, and one of them you can see the Valentine's Lego challenge. We did a holiday Lego challenge. The kids really like to do that. There's a lot of teamwork, design, and I think the biggest thing, and then we also have our Lego wall, which has been a really great hit that a parent built for us. And the kids can play with that during media, in their own time, during choice time, that kind of thing. But perseverance has been something that I really love to see at the elementary level. The cups do fall, the Legos don't work right, and they have to figure it out, which is something some of them get frustrated with, but I think is a really important piece of all this. The kids also really love to do coding, and that includes coding with the Makey kits we have. And just coming in, a lot of them come in, and that can be a choice during Makerspace time. They'll go grab a Chromebook or an iPad. We have a number of apps. We still do Hour of Code, that sort of thing. And the kids, they've really taken, even they go home and they do it, it's an extension there. A lot of them are finding camps where they can kind of extend their knowledge, and it's something where it's so ingrained in them at the elementary school level that it's going to be exciting to see what kind of things they come up with when they get to high school. The Makey kits and the Snap circuits. I've also been working with the art teacher to introduce LED crafts, so that works with a lot of the circuit stuff, especially the 4th grade has been doing, and they really enjoy that. But again, creativity, collaboration, they usually code in pairs, so it's working together, and it's an opportunity for kids, I think, that don't excel at certain things in the classroom. Often this is where they can shine, so it's been exciting. And that's true of all the kind of makerspace stuff at the elementary level. It's been nice to see. And then finally, crafting. They come up with all kinds of stuff. Duct tape has been really big, but again, I don't throw out anything anymore, as Jen was saying. Toilet paper tubes, I mean, you name it. The kids just really are excited. Sometimes things are as cute as that little pig you can see on there, but sometimes you don't really know what they've created, but they're very proud of themselves. And it's just that independence in their own learning, and they know exactly what they're doing. It's play. It's time to kind of, a lot of the times, to be honest, it's, you know, the fourth graders coming down after a test and they get 5 minutes and it's just de-stress. I've been really happy to see, you know, the school psychologist has been coming in, that sort of thing, special ed, and it's just a moment to sort of use a different part of your brain and let's get back to learning, which has been kind of nice. The space is evolving. I think that's actually an older picture I put on, but we're trying, it's constantly evolving. We're trying, they don't really like to sit down. We took out some chairs. We're adding more crafting. They just like to use their hands, and it's been really great to see and interesting.
So as we said at the beginning of the presentation, these were pilots, these 2 locations, and the feedback has been very positive, both from the students and the staff and the media specialists that have really been sort of in the center of it all this year, kind of seeing these spaces evolve over time, as Alex says. So we're, one of the things Alex mentioned is the idea of having challenges. So sometimes what we find, particularly honestly at the older level, so in high school in particular, we've noticed that they go in and they just don't even know where to start. So they're so accustomed by this point with us just telling them, okay, this is what I want. This is what you need to do. Step 1, and this is what it should look like in the end. And we know that this is something we want them to get away from. We want them to think creatively. We want them to come up with their own idea. But sometimes they just need a starting point, particularly when it's these stations where they're new things. They've never done coding. They've never worked with a robot. They've never made their own video. So we are working towards coming up with different challenges that would give good entry-level points for kids to maybe just start to explore an area that might be unfamiliar, and give them something that's sort of a focused product idea or project for them to approach. Alex has done a great job of doing that at Summer Street. We've done some here as well in the high school, so we're going to continue to try to develop some more challenges to get kids to explore the makerspace maybe for the first time, or to explore different areas of the makerspace if they've been in it before. We'd like to, Alex began this, we need to do this at the high school and sort of combine them and have different areas, but we'd like to have a website so that students, when they're in the makerspace, when they're looking for more information about maybe something they're working with, to have sort of a go-to location to get to the best resources that we've been able to curate for them, so we'd like to do that. And then also, we've begun speaking with both the Huckleberry Hill and the middle school to evaluate whether or not this is an idea that they'd like to roll out in their buildings. So that's kind of where we're at, and I figured you might have some questions for us, so I'm happy to answer those, and Alex is here too, so fire away.
I have a bunch, Jen, but I'll start off with one. In terms of who has care, custody, control of the makerspace, is it strictly the media teachers, or is it a combined effort, and how is it supervised, and is there any kind of evaluation of how what kind of work is coming out of there, or is it more just analogous to recess, let's say, just go explore and create?
So there's actually a kind of a more than one answer to that, because it depends on who's accessing it and where that sort of starts from. So as far as who's ultimately responsible or overseeing the makerspace, because it's located in the media center, those people, you know, the media specialists are the ones that are there day to day and making decisions each day about what they want to do in their space. That being said, Sarah Perkins and I, the digital learning coaches in the district, we've been working closely with them. We've been meeting together periodically to kind of check in and see, well, what's working, what's not, you know, how can we support that. Here in the high school, we have help desk students that have played a large role in the makerspace. In the beginning, just being new to the makerspace, they were exploring and learning the stations, but we're working towards developing them as sort of resident experts at different stations so that they can support their peers. In terms of, whether there's, like supervision over products, like, are the kids using their time well? This is sort of what you're asking, is that correct? So we will, when kids come into the makerspace, say at the high school, we'll check in, make sure that they have a purpose for being in there as opposed to just hanging out, because that is not the idea. So we don't want them just hanging out. We want to make sure that they know what the space is for. When they're new to the makerspace, we'll introduce them to some of the stations and ask them which one they want to learn a little more about. And we'll be there to support them in sort of their initial getting to know certain areas of the space. But as far as what they choose to create or do with their time, that's pretty independent for the students. But there are also teachers that have opted to come down and use the makerspace for students for specific purposes. And so in that case, there are products that are expected. So, we had a number of history classes come down because they were learning about the Industrial Revolution, and they wanted to kind of use this as an example of, okay, well, this is sort of like the digital revolution, like we're learning all these new things, and let's explore some of these stations and make a comparison. And so there was a writing piece that the kids had to do after they explored these stations and spent some time themselves. So it depends really whether it's a whole class activity accessing or if kids are working independently, and Alex can probably speak to that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest issues for me on a daily basis is my frustration with, do you let them go and run with it? Or is it like, all right, well, this is what you're going to make, and this is sort of what we're trying to get away from. But some kids can't go willy-nilly because they come out, at least at the elementary level, with like a popsicle stick with something wrapped around it. And I'm like, okay, but I'm going with the flow. But I think that's the biggest thing where we're talking to people that are trying this too, and where on the spectrum. And I think what's important and frustrating at the same time is I'll have an entire class in and we'll do something makerspace sort of related, and that's really powerful. But then at the same time, I want them to also have the time, because some of them, I mean, you give them that free time and they know what to do, especially K1, 2. And then what's really, I think we're trying to see is 3, 4. They just look at me but I want to get them back. We had a meeting last week and I said, I can't wait for like these first graders to get to the high school to see. I really feel like it's going to be a huge impact. So yeah, I think that's something where, like, come talk to me in 4 years and I'll have a better answer. Because I don't really want to see the popsicle stick with a string around it. But at the same time, they're really proud of themselves, and it was independent, and it was, nobody was telling them what to do. And throughout the school day, like, that's a small fraction of time. So we're gonna figure it out. But it's sort of somewhere in between there.
So let me just clarify. So sometimes they come as a class, and sometimes they just come in if they have a free time.
Could be like an enrichment piece, depending. It could be, study block at the high school, different things like that.
Okay.
Could be that they're working on a project in their class, and a lot of times, particularly at the high school level, students are given a menu of choices. You can present your knowledge in these different ways.
Okay.
Maybe one of them is a video, so kids decide, oh, well, I can come down here and work on that.
Okay.
So it becomes this workspace that they can use to create the product that is one of the things that their teacher will accept as a way to demonstrate their learning.
Okay. And that kind of leads me to my next question. Is clearly from the photos they're, collaborating with each other. It's hands-on activity, and I guess do they come in and they decide together what they're going to work on? The Valentine's Challenge you mentioned, clearly they had a directive as to what they were supposed to be leaning towards anyway, but otherwise they're just free to decide on their own what they want to explore based on what they've seen from the last time they're in there, or maybe, ideas that they have on their own. Unless the teacher has directed them.
Exactly. So
Okay.
that's why the answer differs, because sometimes they come there with a mission.
Right,
They
right.
know, okay, I need to make a video. I haven't done this, but I saw you have a green screen, and that's kind of cool, and I want to use it. And can you help me? And so we'll kind of get them started, and then but then there are other times where I'll go out into the study and I'll see kids just kind of hanging out, killing time during a study block, and I'll say, hey, why don't you come in here? Let me show you some things. And then, it's like, let's just use our brains and do something different and have some fun. Like, this doesn't have to be like serious, intense, like I'm going to quiz you on it at the end of our hour together. But,
Right.
let me show you this space and what you could do instead of just sitting here. And they're really interested in that. Like, okay, I didn't even know this was here. So a big part of I should have said on our next steps is we just have to continue to get the word out. Like, I would say that we still don't, not all of the staff or the students in the buildings know what it's all about. One of the things that was very helpful at the high school recently is we had staff in during PD day. We rotated them in, just like we would students. And then that drummed up a lot of business in terms of teachers deciding, oh, I thought of a project idea where students would be able to make use of the makerspace, and then they'll consult with Janice, Sandor, Sarah, and I, and we'll coordinate that and help, make sure that can happen and the kids can come in either as a class or independently to work on something. So part of it is just getting the word out and helping people to know. Because if you say there's a makerspace, everyone's like, what's that?
Right.
Or they're afraid to ask because they feel like, okay, well, you gave it a name, so I'm supposed to know what that is. But most people don't because it's a fairly new idea
Right.
in education.
Yeah, you say some other schools are using it. Are you talking about a couple hundred schools using it, or 3 or 4 other schools
Certainly
using it?
not in Massachusetts. I started reading about them last year. There are a couple places in like New Jersey, California, like just little, I'm on Twitter and, these places where educators are doing really interesting new things. So I'm, just being around that, you're like, what's that?
Right.
I want to hear more about that. Let me get on a webinar with you. Hey, can I message you directly? Can we have a conversation? And just starting to make contact with people in these other locations. So not even in the state. There was no one in Massachusetts that I could talk to.
Okay.
Since then, there's been a few popped up in the district, but in the state. But I think that number is quite small. There are many more that are coming out and saying, "Hey, we heard you at a makerspace. Can we come see it?"
Okay.
Because people are just trying to wrap their head around because they can look so different, and there is no. What's great about them is there is no right or wrong way to do it. And as Alex's experience, you put up a station, you see what happens, you might change it. So there's not like a prescription. Like if you want a makerspace and it's successful, it looks like this.
Right.
And our struggles about kids, not, wanting direction and expecting like to be told what to do, like that is so normal. And I'm hearing that from other states and other districts. So I feel good knowing that we're not doing anything wrong.
Right.
But it tells me we need this. Our kids need this. That's one of the things that kind of tells me that, they need this space to think on their own. And
I think one of the most powerful things that Alex said was about how K1-2 walk in and they don't need the direction. But by the time they get to 3 and 4, they're saying, tell me what to do and how to do it. Just tell me what the end product looks like and I'll do it for you.
yeah, what
Right.
does right
So-
look like? What is correct supposed
Right,
to? Yeah.
so just that, the cup building, it's not about the cups, right? It's about having kids genuinely and authentically working together for a finished product in collaboration, right? And really being able to just use each other and get the adults out of the way. So we're gonna use the brain power of the 4 kids sitting around this table, and we don't need adults to tell us how to do that. And so I think that's powerful, and I agree with you, Alex, and Jen and I have had these conversations. It's going to be so exciting to see these kids as they progress through our school system and get to the high school, and what is their fabric going to look like by the time they get into this room. If we really build that foundation where they can really work together and use their own brains and not have to be so rigid about their learning and their thinking. So I commend you for your work, and Jen for bringing it forward last year and being willing to take the risk of will this work or will this not work, but knowing fundamentally that it's the right thing for kids.
Jen, Alex, thanks for being here, and thanks for your work on this initiative. At the high school level, I guess this is a question for you, Jen. Do you find that the iPads are more conducive as a technology tool of support for the activities that are conducive to the makerspace?
You know, it actually differs. So, for example, if the students are doing 3D printing or design work, you really almost have to do that on a regular PC, and actually a fairly powerful machine, like not even sort of like, you know, grab the Chromebook. I mean, there are some things that will work on the Chromebook too, but there are some things that you just need a regular full-on PC to do. I continue to try to find always free web-based products. So there is actually a design software that can be used that's web-based called Tinkercad, and we've encouraged students to do that. So the reason I like the free web-based is I love free because we always have things we need money for. But then I love free and web-based because kids can go home and work on it, which I love. And so Tinkercad is one of the examples of something they can do on their Chromebooks designing, and then they could bring their design here and we could print it for them. We've said to kids that we'll print anything as long as you made it. Like, I don't want you to go on to Thingiverse, which is this place where you can grab, you know, a chess piece or a Smurf or whatever, and just, you know, we're not here to print toys. We're here to print things that you made, and we're happy to do that. The thing that iPads work really well with are the like the photo and video editing. It's just because the camera, the built-in camera on them, it's not that it's better, but that's on the iPad you can do video editing, very simple video editing right on the device with things like iMovie. And there are some really cute apps that allow you to do, without much of a learning curve, things like the green screen and stop motion. So it makes it very accessible. We also have video editing software that is on some regular PCs in there, so that if kids are kind of at the next level and maybe they want to put some music in with the, you know, like underneath the audio, you know, the spoken audio, and they want to, you know, do a lot more with transitions and stuff, then that might be the next step, is to do video editing on the PCs. But what's nice about the iPads is they're very approachable for kids, and they're made to you know, without much of a learning curve for them to go right into filming and adding some neat effects without, you know, having to sit through hours of video tutorials to figure out what to do.
Thank you. I just really want to thank you for coming and walking us through this. You know, it looks like a great program with some really good legs. I know when Kevin and I were working for the one-to-one initiative, we talked a lot about, you know, for education to be valuable, to go to where the kids are, you know, and teach them from where they are, and so they make the connections. And it sounds like this is something that really works for them. They like to get their hands dirty, and I was one of those people that you've referred to who, you know, you hear the word makerspace so many times that you're just going to pretend you know what it means. So I appreciate you providing some clarity and something that really doesn't have a very firm definition,
No.
but I definitely feel like I have a better understanding of what it's all about. So, and then just one last silly story that we were kind of looking in the makerspace a couple weeks ago when we were here. And there was a laptop, just for the people at home, there's a laptop in the middle of one of the workstations, and there were stickers all over it that said, "Do not take apart." And I just got such a kick out of that, thinking that really shows what kind of space this is, that the kids feel free to just go at it and do what they need to do, except for that one computer.
Right. Do not. Yeah, it is very funny. We have one of the stations is a deconstruction station. So I just think it's so important for kids to demystify. You know, we're in such an age where people just go to the store, they buy the thing, they open it up, it works, and they don't think about it. And yet we're trying to create kids that will see themselves in these jobs of creating all of these wonderful tools that we have every day. But if they take them out of the box and don't think twice about it, they'll never see themselves in those roles. So, you know, simple as it sounds, to just take apart some of these electronics and with a poster to guide you through what are some of the major components, and just to get them to think about, you know, just because it's covered in plastic that's pink and pretty doesn't mean that underneath there's not this really cool stuff that somebody needed to think about and make.
Right.
So,
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to
thank you. Good to
explain
see
it all
you
to
guys.
us. Okay. Okay, next on the agenda is the Linfield High School Compass update.
So we're going to have Kevin Sayre come up, and he has a group of people with him this evening that he will introduce to talk about all of the great work that's going on at the high school in the Compass program. So welcome, Kevin and company.
Evening. Here this evening, I am with Kathy Moody from our guidance counselor. She is one of the co-faculty advisors to our Compass program, and Julie Scroy could not be here this evening. She is the other co-advisor. We do have Meryl Braconia, Connor Reardon, and CJ Finn. They are seniors here at Linfield High School. They are also executive board members. There are 6 executive board members total. Unfortunately, Abby Weaver could not be with us this evening, along with Renee Del Negro and Danny Braunschweig. So there is a group of 6 executive board members, and they oversee the student advisors, which we have about 50 plus senior advisors throughout the program. In each of them, these members here oversee a subgroup of student advisors. So tonight, you hear the word Compass. It was actually our graduating executive board. They wanted to really move in a different direction and create a new, their legacy was let's shift over to Compass now. And, every school has the word advisory, and, some associate advisory with somewhat of a negative connotation. But we felt we were starting to move in a different direction. And our real goal this year was to really integrate more community service and more school spirit. So they're here to talk tonight and share with you some of the ideas that we've done in terms of moving toward, with the first step being creating a mission statement. So this is brand new as of this year, and I know Meryl wants to say a few words about the mission.
Hello. So part of making advisory into Compass was developing a stronger mission statement so people could really know the purpose of advisory, Compass, sorry.
I know,
know the
still
purpose
trip
of
up.
Compass and take advantage of it. So we discuss key aspects of social, civic, and academic lives, and a big part of Compass is fostering connections between the underclassmen and the upperclassmen. So freshmen and sophomores have people that they can go to in the older grades. And we also strive to demonstrate the 21st century expectations of demonstrating responsibility through ownership of personal actions and demonstrating a knowledge and understanding of other cultures and beliefs.
Thank you, Meryl. And those last 2 expectations, it is the expectation that we're addressing those in our classrooms as well. However, Compass provides the forum where we feel we can do a much better job when we look at school culture as a whole and building a positive school culture and what it means to address the whole student. Just as it's reflected in the district strategy as well. I think just the meeting the needs of all students, I think we can just really do a better job of that through the Compass program. And we try to live it and model it every day. But the reality is we felt we needed something in additional to just the academic courses.
So to start off the year, ever since I was a freshman, I don't know if you did before then, but one of the most exciting days is freshman orientation. It's a couple days before school actually starts. and it's not a full day, but the freshmen come in, they get used to the school, they meet some of the older advisory Compass members, and it's really important because that's when they get their first impression of the school. They walk in, they're all intimidated, new high school and stuff, and like it's just important to make them feel like it's not that bad, like they're welcome here, we're all in this together. So like, yeah. And some of the key things that we did, the PTO donated some lovely water bottles. With the water filters, I still see kids filling those up pretty routinely. A new thing that we did this year, we made a video, some of the e-board members, and we showed that. It was about 7 minutes long, so it's on the longer side, and it just showed the kids their way around the school and stuff, along with the scavenger hunt. We redid that, so the scavenger hunt takes the kids throughout the school, just showing them classrooms and the gym and the cafeteria, auditorium, stuff like that. And then there's also games that we set up, like Pin the Time, Mr. Cleary. There's a golf putt in the gym. And yeah, just like other activities to make it seem not that bad.
It's nice because I think, in the past, we never had that day with just freshmen in the building, so it's a little less threatening to have that day. And we love that it's students that really run the day. That is a student-driven day. There may be some staff around, setting up classrooms and whatnot, but that is a student-driven day. And other than the work we do behind the scenes, it's really run. You guys are in the trenches, and you guys do a great job with it. And I think it's a great way to kick off the year.
I think the ninth graders appreciate being in the building by themselves. This replaces, we used to have the incoming ninth graders come up for move-up day, and that was fine and it worked, but with this setting, it's just them. They get to go to their lockers, they get to go to their homeroom, they get to go to each of their classes, so they get to kind of do that test run prior to having everybody else in the building. So we've heard, and I think you guys would agree, it's a lot less intimidating that official first day of school when everybody's back.
And glad you mentioned the locker. I mean, the locker can be the scariest part of a freshman's start to high school. It sounds trivial, but it's really important to know where your locker is and actually be able to open it, and that's a big deal.
So the Compass advisors, we need to get trained from someone else that knows what they're doing. So like, there's this couple, Deb and Dana. They come in a few times a year, and they're our mentors to teach us how to handle those awkward situations with the younger students, the freshmen and sophomores. When you go into a classroom and the freshmen want to talk to you, they teach us how to handle that situation through like team building activities and stuff. Just like activities like the electric fence. There was a rope, and everyone had to hold onto the rope while making it over this electric fence without knocking it over. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's difficult. Yeah, but yeah.
It's something to see. These trainings are really impressive. The amount of energy in that auditorium, and that is so much more than that. That is about team building, and you guys. It's really refreshing just to see how much spending that over the course of the day, how much you open up with each other throughout the course of that day, and it's almost like it's a safe zone that you enter. And I don't know what it is, but they are magical in the sense of. And I believe that safe zone extends to the school community based on the work that they do and the work that you do modeling those behaviors for students. So this doesn't do it justice. You need to see it in action. You really do. And Jane, I know you've seen it in action. It is amazing. And they also do some staff trainings for us as well, and just building positive relationships with kids and student engagement and what that looks like in the classroom. And real high energy. The staff gets into it in the same way you do. I mean, it's important.
So another thing that Compass does is we bring in guest speakers, and it's not as easy to go in and tell these freshmen like stuff about high school and things they should know, and so bringing professionals really makes it easier and trying to discuss it with them afterwards and stuff like that. So I actually didn't get to see Vinu Keller, but I saw Ed Garrity when I was a freshman, And a lot of guest speakers, you know, they'll tell their story, and a lot of times people in the audience might zone out or something or not pay attention, but I think Ed Garrity really did a great job of getting the audience's attention and really teaching the students how to motivate themselves and really work hard and set goals and stuff like that. So I actually remember he did this rain thing that, like, to this day I think is like the coolest thing I've ever done in my life. It was,
You made rain.
yeah, he just had like everyone in the auditorium was like doing like something different with their like clapping hands or snapping, and it sounded like a jungle. I don't know how to explain it. It was like the weirdest thing I've ever let. Yeah, I mean, he does fun stuff like that, but then he also gets serious, so it's a good mixture of really like have fun but be smart and set goals and really stay focused. So having someone like that was always great. Keeps the students motivated and eye on the prize, I guess. So.
Yeah, there's a reason we bring Ed in early in the year is due to that motivational, positive, inspirational message to kind of kick off the school year. Same thing 2 years ago when you saw him. You know, now pretty all the students in the building have had the opportunity and the pleasure to see Ed. And you talk about you know, building leaders and empowering leaders and really setting your eyes on the prize, and talks a lot about dreaming big. You know, I think it's everything he does is interactive. He actually meets with the kids before the assembly. He'll go into the cafeteria, he'll talk to certain kids, he'll pull kids out of classes and say, hey, you want to be part of this presentation? Kind of pull them over to the side, you know, keep it quiet, but I want you to do X, Y, and Z. And then the kids just get so excited about it, including a typical, usually one kid gets pulled out and actually makes a phone call home to his mother and tells his mother how much he loves her. And it's just the whole place erupts in laughter. And it's, of course, the parent is like, really? I don't believe you. It's this really going on right now? And yeah, Mr. Sears here, and so is Superintendent Tremblay. Yeah, it's quite the scene. It's awesome. Did you guys see Vino? You didn't get a chance to see Vino, right?
I did.
I saw her.
You did see her, okay.
Yeah.
So Vino spoke to our 9th and 10th graders, and basically she's part of our Driving to Save Our Lives tour, which is part of Kara Phillip. There's a whole branch of speakers that we draw on. She's new to the circuit, and she did a nice job talking about her own experiences, you know, some self-harming behaviors that she went through growing up, but how to deal with adversity in your life and how to look out for those that may be experiencing similar adversity in their lives as well. And so she was new. I don't know what your impressions are of her, but a little bit different theme this year with Vino.
I think a lot of people don't realize that people experience self-harm and such emotional like lows. So she really raised awareness of the issue in the community. So a lot of people are now just more aware and they have more knowledge on the subject, which I think helped.
And it's always like not everyone sees. I guess we're more privy to it. We get to see the follow-up afterwards when we either some students ask to stay behind and speak to the speaker, or you know what, they decide they want to really make that contact with their guidance counselor, the adjustment counselor. I always know, and we always know, that you better have a flexible schedule after a guest speaker comes in, because there are kids that are in real need in this building. And they really do, these speakers come in and there's a line of kids either to thank them or Mr. Sear days after, how can I get in touch with them? So that's not something that a lot of you are probably even aware of, but it just reminds us of how important this is. And you know, we understand we might be taken away from AP classes or this or that, but this speaks to the idea of we need to be meeting the needs of all students, and it's not just guest speakers, but it's the program as a whole.
Yeah, the healthy relationships umbrella, it encompasses a lot, both good and bad. But I think it's something we've worked on when we were putting together the curriculum for this year. Just that term alone, you can go a lot of places with it. So it could just be having kids learn how to have healthy friendships, and Vino spoke to that. How to have a healthy relationship with your parents, how to have a healthy relationship with yourself, you know, all of those things. So that umbrella term, healthy relationships, is something we've looked at in it with the different speakers. So she was new for us, and I'm glad, you know, we were able to bring her.
And the bottom line is it's an area of need. We have a lot of students that struggle with healthy relationships. there's a reason why we chose that theme this year.
So a key part of Compass is that we focus on community service. I know last year we had the stocking drive and we encouraged Compass groups to either develop their own community service project or take part in the school-wide stocking drive where you bring in a toy into your Compass group and fill up a stocking to give to someone in need. So people really caught on to that last year, and I know this year we've been amping up the community service because we saw that Compass was a good way to foster it in the community. So we continued with the stocking drive this year. I know my Compass group did that, and we also had additional things like candy for the soldiers that we sent overseas. I know a lot of people brought in Halloween candy, and we've also worked with the OK Club, which is Operation Kindness, and they forwarded this a drive called For the People, By the People, which supplied
Several goods and
services.
The homeless population in Boston. We had a certain list of goods from the agencies that they said, you know what, we're really in need of here. And that particular one, I'm glad you mentioned the OK Club. The student that came forward to us, she's to this day, she wanted to remain anonymous, and it wasn't about her, it still isn't about her. She said, Mr. Sear, this is Miss Mooney, all of us, she said, this is something I really want to do. And I said, well, look, you're a member of the OK Club, why don't we team up with you? And she got credit, you guys jumped on board, and it really took off, and it's just another way to branch out to the larger community. So again, most everything we've done this year has been student driven, and that's what we want. This is a grassroots effort.
And I just know that, through that, Compass is such a great way to bring students together to work in a project because they're already in their own Compass groups and they're united under an advisor and a teacher advisor, a student advisor, and just the Compass program as a whole. So in that environment, people really try to contribute to the community service. And another big thing we did was we dedicated the field day walk to Sunny Tropiano. And I know a private party helped sell the t-shirts here at Linfield High School more through student council. And so we encourage people to wear those t-shirts on the day of field day and wear orange on field day. And we walked through the grant in dedication to Sunny.
You can probably start to see that the Compass group doesn't work in isolation. We work closely with student council as well.
Yeah.
And that was a great example of how we worked closely with student council this field day. So.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing we did was we called it Deck the Halls, and so we had basically another Compass period. So we meet every day 7, and we have 20 minutes to meet with our Compass groups and everything. And we wanted to do something fun that we've never really done before. So we tried doing we call it Deck the Halls this year, and basically every grade was giving 20 minutes to decorate their hallway, and at the end of it, the winning grade was given a little cookie and hot chocolate thing. So this was actually the senior hallway. We won, by the way. So yeah, the faculty judged it, and it was really cool. People brought in everything from some people brought in Christmas trees to blow up decorations and lights, and it was really cool to see everyone working together, and people really got into it, and nothing bad happened. But yeah, and then we left it up for a little bit, and just seeing the hallways nice and festive was cool. So, and another big part was Compass this year was boosting school spirit. We figured that would be a good way to do it, just to get the grades working together, and a little competition never hurts. So it's pretty cool.
I'm not sure the picture does it justice. For anyone that was in the building at the time, it was impressive.
I don't even think that was the finished product.
It was organized chaos. We took a risk, and I'll tell you, the kids loved it. And I wish Danny Braunschweig was here because he raved and raved and raved about it. But they think they've created a legacy here. They want to continue it. We'll see what the upcoming junior class they want to take. The next group of E-Board wants to really take the lead on it. But I believe you probably have created a legacy, and I think it's one of those where that week you know, you focus on your academics, but it's also a spirited week too, and I think this fed into that spirit. It was nice to see. And I know that our students have always taken notice about what other schools are doing, whether it's those lipped up contests and things like that. They said, why can't we do something like that here? And these guys pitched the idea, and we ran with it. So I think it's nice that we're taking a leap. So the future of where are we going with Compass? Harriet Turk is our headliner. There she is. She will be speaking to juniors and seniors pre-prom season about healthy decision making, again hitting on that theme of healthy relationships. She comes highly recommended. She's coming up from Memphis, Tennessee. She's got over 20 years of experience speaking to high schoolers and adults as well. And she's part of the Driving the Saving Lives tour. So we're thrilled to have her. She's going to be doing 2 assemblies, and that is on March 4th, so that's coming soon after the vacation. And what I'll say is I have to credit Bob Clary a few years back for creating the support that we now have for this program to bring in speakers like this, and our PTO. I mean, our PTO is just tremendous in terms of they always give me a hard time because I'm always asking them for money, but they come through when we need it, and they know how important this is. So if it wasn't for our PTO, we wouldn't be continuing to bring in speakers such as Harriet Turk. So the students are starting to get excited. There's some preliminary discussion about Harriet coming, and we're very much, we're looking forward to her visit. So time management, you want to talk about that? Because at the time we actually created the presentation, that was a preview, but we've actually implemented the time management. Was it just last week, right, Nelson? Want to talk a little bit about time management?
Sure. So during one of the Compass sessions, the 20 minutes that we had with our freshman or sophomore groups, we showed them a video by Mike Smith, and he's a motivational speaker who talks. There's this thing called The Harbor. I guess that's his company or
yeah, the Harbor is through Jostens Renaissance. The company Jostens, they've teamed up around educational issues, and they've given us full access to the Harbor, which is a series of videos. I don't know if you've heard of Mike Smith. He has spoken to student leaders, student athletes. He was the headliner at the student athletic conference this year. So he's a pretty prominent speaker. He's highly engaging. You guys get to see Mike Smith in action this year. Where were we? Pinkerton Academy at one point. We went up to see Mike. So that's a resource that's at our fingertips, and we did focus on Mike in terms of his video about time management.
Yeah,
you want to talk a little bit how you took it from there?
Yeah, he focused a lot on about social media and how that wastes so much of our day. Like if you could go back and just get rid of all your social media, like think of all the things you could have done. So we focused a lot on that, and it was right before midterms, so I shared some tips about how I study for midterm, just like spreading everything out, not cramming, and yeah.
That whole social media piece was fascinating, and how reliant we are on the technology.
Mm-hmm.
The time that we waste in terms of at our fingertips as opposed to doing some meaningful strategizing in terms of our home. I don't know how you guys do it with homework now and whatnot. I couldn't. It's not easy. So I think it was an important message for the younger kids to really hear, with regards to navigating the social media world that we live in today. Spirit Week is upcoming. We're planning a Spirit Week for March, and myself and Kathy Moody and Julie Scroy are just a team of 3. So we have a group of teachers that are really gung-ho that we're meeting with on Thursday with the executive board providing input along the way here in terms of implementing a Spirit Week where it's going to be student-driven in terms of what's happening on a daily basis with certain themes that we're going to carry out each day here in the building. But there's right now we're under some preliminary discussions, but it's going to be one of those where we're really looking at making more, I'd say more of a bringing the spirit, more than just the pep rally that traditionally we do at Thanksgiving, but now doing something more in the springtime. And in the past, we've kicked off like the sports season with a dance or whatnot, but we've moved away from the dance. So now the kids want to do something a little bit more that's woven into the fabric of the daily, would you say, the daily school day.
Yeah.
as
Yeah,
opposed to like a one-time event.
March is such a such a long month for so
Yeah.
many reasons. So when we were thinking about it, we were trying to figure out how do we re-energize the kids to go into that last quarter. How do we recognize the winter sports and spring sports, because so much emphasis in the fall is on the fall, obviously on the fall sports. But you know, I think it was a combination of wanting to just kind of bring energy back into the building. Maybe we were all a little bit exhausted from last year's winter. So, you know, we're in this starting phase of planning that, but we are really confident the students are going to bring it to life for us. We can give them ideas, but the truth is that they're the ones that really bring all of these ideas to life for us, which is always encouraging and exciting to see.
And of course, we're bringing back the mock car crash. We do that every other year now, and that's a community initiative in terms of the fire department and the police department, and working closely with administration here at the high school. And Theater East does a heck of a job with the kids that perform in the mock car crash. Culminating, it's just a real nice community effort to bring everyone together, and then we have a pretty full house in the auditorium afterwards where we break it down and we walk through the arrest and the actual booking. The Linfield Police Department has always done a nice job of allowing us to come in and actually arrest one of our students, right, and walk us through it and what the booking process looks like when you make a poor decision. It's very helpful for the kids to see. So we work closely with the outside community departments, and the kids that haven't seen it, which are current juniors and seniors, they talk about it throughout the course of their high school career. Are we going to do the mock car crash? Are we going to do the, you know, and it's not that it's a happy event, but I think it's one that is quite eye-opening and very powerful. Yeah, exactly. And it's just a lot that goes into it in terms of the coordination, and we're grateful that we have the community support there to pull it all together. So we'll be doing that again as well. Any questions for us at this point?
So you do this, the Compass meets on this, once in the 7-day rotation, is that right, for 20 minutes?
Every day.
That's
7.
correct.
Every day 7, okay.
And that's a little bit of a change in years past. We did it twice every other week or twice a month. We kind of played around with different schedules, but what we found is having it on a regularly scheduled basis allows students and teachers to anticipate it, and it's not a surprise. But we're also looking at building stronger relationships between the teacher and the students more the students in their groups, because they're in groups of 10 to 12 students, so they're not large groups.
And are those 10 to 12 mixed throughout all 4 classes?
Nope, they're separated out by class, but they're randomly chosen, so we don't put friends together with friends necessarily. It's separated grade levels. We're also looking this year, for the next coming years, to keep the same Compass group so that they go through their high school career with their Compass group. And again, trying to just develop deeper and stronger relationships amongst the kids as well as the faculty. They'll keep the same faculty advisor as well.
And for the leaders, do kids volunteer to be leaders are they all seniors, the leaders?
Juniors and seniors, so there is an application process. It's highly competitive. I mean, highly competitive. It's not the fun part of our job, but there's involves teacher recommendations. It involves several behind-the-scenes conversations with the adults that work closely with those students. So that's come springtime next month or so. We'll be posting the application window, and we'll end up with at least 150 probably applicants or so for 50 positions. We used to have, I've talked to you about this in the past, we used to have a larger group of student advisors, but in order for us to fully communicate our message, in order for us to truly fulfill our mission, it needs to be more of a manageable group, because you got to remember that the students that are applying to be student advisors, they are so over-involved, and it's great, but they are so invested in our school that it's a challenge to meet with them. I mean, these guys, ask them when we meet. I mean, we meet before school at 7:15, because it's impossible. You can't meet with them after school. And you guys have been, I can't say enough about you. I mean, there's days I'll contact you the day before and say, look, can we meet tomorrow morning? And they're tremendous. So you just got to be creative, and in order to do it the right way, it just needs to be more of a manageable group. In that way, we are able to assign 2 student advisors to every sophomore and freshman Compass group.
So the juniors and seniors don't have.
They don't have student
They just
advisors.
have a faculty advisor.
Okay,
And all of the student advisors are rising juniors and seniors.
gotcha.
I just wanted to comment and thank the students and all the student leaders. Mr. Sear and I are constantly talking about Compass, and the way that you're leading the rest of the high school is just terrific. And I just want to thank you for being those leaders and setting such a positive example for the rest of the students. Your efforts do not go unnoticed. You need to know that.
Thank you.
Thank you. They're here tonight with us. They're getting up an evening, so.
And trust me, they all wanted to be here. It's just, again, it speaks to their involvement. We'll bat 500, I guess.
Well, thank you very much for coming and letting us know all about this.
Thank you,
Sounds great.
appreciate it.
Okay, next item on the agenda is public participation. Seeing and hearing none, we'll move to the superintendent's report.
Okay, so two things I'm going to report tonight. The first one is the governor's budget was announced after our last school committee meeting. And one area that I would like the committee to know that we are watching very, very closely is the kindergarten grant. So the money in the kindergarten grant is used for kindergarten quality enhancement grants to school districts, which means that money goes to districts to pay for full-day K students who are not paying a fee. The goal is really to promote and to improve early literacy outcomes. So we are going to continue to investigate this, stay on top of it, and watch it very closely for the criteria to see if we would be eligible for that moving forward. So that's the first thing. The second thing that I wanted to report out on tonight is over the weekend, the community schools put on their production of Seussical. And I don't know if anyone here had a chance to see it. It was absolutely positively amazing. As always, over 86 kids participated from our early elementary all the way up to our seniors in high school. And they just did a terrific, terrific job, from the costumes to the lighting to the sets. Becky Petrin just really did a terrific job pulling that whole thing together. So I just wanted to compliment Becky and her whole crew in the community schools for putting on, once again, a terrific show for our students and our families. And that's it.
That's it. Okay. We have no matters for action tonight, so we just need a motion. And we'll have to do a roll call. Yes,
I think so.
Roll call, right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We need a motion first, anyone?
Move to adjourn.
Okay,
Second.
okay. So,
Aye.
Jamie, you out there?
I'm here.
Okay. Do you?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Then we are adjourned. Thank you all. Have a good evening.